Hi, everyone. Today's special guest is Hannes Anderson of Oeksound. He is the CMO, the marketing officer, and we're very excited to hear about the new product Spiff and also about his career and also about Soothe, which has been very popular, very innovative software by Oeksound. So let's get started. Welcome, Hannes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from Finland.
Yeah, yeah. So me, I've lived in Helsinki, Finland my whole life. I do have a background in music a lot of kids in Finland start playing instruments very young. I mean, our parents put us to music schools, and so I've played piano most of my life, and I started studying music technology at a university over here, and that's pretty much where I met Olli, the founder of Oeksound, and so we started it from pretty much from college or university over
Hmm.
here.
Tell us a
So
little bit about Oli too. Is
yeah,
what is his background?
yeah, Olli has a similar background as many kids here. Played a lot of different instruments. I can't remember his like starting instruments, but a lot of the Oeksound guys are actually bass players of some sort, and we're but all of us have a background in recording and mixing of some sort, usually live as well, live mixing and studio and but usually studio recording. So me and Ollie studied music technology at the Sibelius Academy here in Helsinki. So it's a really it's a really good and like high profile school, and it gave us also a lot of freedom and resources to do stuff on our own. And I guess that's what made Ollie actually have the time and resources to create something like Soothe while studying. So yeah, it's mainly just that home recording background that we pretty much the whole team has that comes into play.
Yeah, that seems to be a common thread on a lot of the companies that I talk to. A lot of the people have musical interests as well as computer
Mm,
interests. But then again, that's what music is today. Uh,
yeah,
okay, so tell us, when did Oig Sound start? What was the first? I
yeah,
know Soothe was the first product,
yeah. I can
but
tell. I can pretty much tell the whole genesis story
yeah,
of that
good, yeah.
uh, as Ollie when he was recording for some music schools, doing some recordings with 3D in just classrooms with no acoustical treatment, cheap gear, cheap microphones. I mean, they were decent for the price range, like a good bang for the buck. Pretty much the equipment that you start off with when you do
Hmm.
recordings. And he was recording um, young musicians and for that school some different small projects, and he constantly um, had to notch out frequencies, being and having learned how to mix and kind of like knowing what to listen for, problematic nodes maybe from the room, and then like harsh sibilants that come from cheaper microphones, and why not from more expensive microphones as well. But in that case, it was mainly those problems,
Hmm.
and that made him ask the question like, why isn't there a tool like this? So it came from like sheer necessity to create something like Soothe.
Hmm.
But the time he spent a lot of time researching this, and he's pretty much self-taught as a programmer. So um, so it's kind of I guess that plays into as well how he came up with such a novel idea, because I think from a programming standpoint, he probably broke a lot of rules in a sense that it shouldn't be possible. Some of the things that Suit does maybe weren't supposed to be possible from like some, if you go the normal uh, DSP programming way, and but because he went his own way in a sense and did his own math, he managed to kind of create a solution for that. But it took a long time. I think he's mentioned that it took maybe 3 years to make a working product out of Soothe. So when it came, we were in late 2016 when he released the first version and put it up on Gearslutz. And pretty much everything started from there. Some high profile engineers got their hands on it, like Chris Shaw, Greg Wells, a lot of these people. And when they said that this was something special, that's kind of when he knew that he had like done something special in a sense. Yeah. So yeah, and then I joined maybe 4 months later after the release, started doing stuff with him and Tommy, who's the other lead developer here, who's the guy behind Spiff,
Mm.
joined as well, and we started to work together as a trio, and now we're a team of about 7 people.
Great, that's great. That's good. Well, best of luck with that. That's
Yeah, thank you.
very difficult to start a new companies. Um, so yes, we've gotten great response from our members at Nashville Audio Professionals. We have a lot of members from all over the world, even though it says Nashville.
Hmm.
Many Grammy Award winners and really top-notch professional mastering, recording, mixing engineers. And we also have musicians, because today there's a fine line. This most musicians do some kind of recording on their own, and so
Yeah,
anyway, so it's a really and students because we deal a lot with SAE and Blackbird students here in Nashville. Um, and so yes, the word out is that Soothe. Everybody loves Soothe. It's very popular and got great. And when I've asked, a couple of months ago, or maybe now 6 months ago, anybody here using Soothe, and I got quite a few very positive responses. So I myself used it. What was it? About 3 days ago, 4 days ago, on a podcast, on a webcast like this one interview that I did with John Oram. Are you
mm,
familiar with John Oram? He was he's he's
I've heard the name.
a mature gentleman like myself. He's actually a few years older than me, and he started out at Vox, Vox amplifiers in
Yeah,
England.
yeah, that's the guy. Yeah,
Yeah, he even worked with the Beatles. Okay,
yeah.
he was in their tour for the United States for the big concert at Shea Stadium.
Mm,
And I actually went to the one before that in New York. I'm from New York, and
mm.
so those were events. They weren't concerts. They were events. They weren't.
Yeah, I've seen videos of
Yeah.
those.
Well,
Great.
anyway, so John was when I interviewed him, he was in Spain, and he was on a boat, and he didn't have internet,
Wow.
and so he had to use a what is a 4G
Yeah.
hotspot, and so there were parts of the interview. As a matter of fact, the second half we had to do just audio because the it was too much throughput, for video. For some reason, it changed. It was fine in the beginning, then all of a sudden, we couldn't get the video to be solid.
Yeah.
So anyway, but there was kind of an edginess, electronicness to his voice in the interview. So I put Soothe on it, and it was subtle, but it made it sound more natural. So it was
Mm,
very very good. I mean, that's what you want. I mean, sometimes subtle is what you want. Um, but
yeah.
anyway, but yeah, Soothe looks very good for sibilants too.
Yeah, it is.
Because de-essing is a big part of the mixing process,
Mm,
sometimes it's hard to get a de-esser that doesn't alter the overall sound. It's
yeah.
very accurate, but it seemed to be very good. So yeah, I've been so far. I've used it on a couple of things, and I'm very pleased with it. I haven't gotten to use Spiff yet, but I'm about to, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of a video on it.
Oh, that would be great.
Um, and okay, but I'm actually just learning OBS right now. So
Yeah.
so I'm trying to get it. Anyway, okay, so you started about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Right.
starts to look something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, can you tell us a little bit about Soothe? I know they're up to Soothe 2 now.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Soothe and what you recommend it to be used for, and
Yeah.
some of the technology.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, if someone isn't familiar with how it works, I can just directly recommend that you download it and try it. We do those like 20-day trials that you don't need to, I mean, you don't need to do anything. You can use it. You can use it without any limitations for 20 days. So you can check that out. And so what it is a resonance suppressor, or a dynamic resonance suppressor is the correct term, I would say. And what that means is that you can think of it as a dynamic EQ. You can think of it as a multiband compressor. You can think of it as an EQ or a de-esser. It's all of those things, and pretty much combined depending on how you want to use it. Now, how it works is that it analyzes the incoming signal, and the algorithm that it works on detects resonances in the signal, and especially what are harsh resonances, when a resonance becomes too much, because resonances is of course something you also want. I mean, harmonics are resonances, I mean, to some extent. So
Mm-hmm.
you want you want the good resonances, you don't want the bad ones. So Sooth tries to find where the resonances are too much, and then it applies suppression to those specific areas. So yeah, it looks like you're applying hundreds of notches to a signal within milliseconds, and they're all moving. They're all changing frequency. They're all changing the amount of suppression. They're all changing, uh, yeah, even the width, if you think of it as many notches next to each other. And the controls let you actually change the width of each individual cut. So that means you can have it work as hundreds of, or yeah, maybe up to 1,000 small notches up in the high frequency area with a really small Q, and handling more noise related material, not that tonal. Or then you can actually just have a really wide Q for cuts, and maybe use it more for handling proximity, for example, in a podcast, and scooping out low end on an orchestral sum or something else, or using the, now especially with the Suit 2, we have the sidechain features. You can actually carve out space from other elements with it if you want. So yeah, with the wide Q setting, it works more like a multiband compressor, and yeah, and that would probably work a bit more if you want more musical sounding stuff. But somewhere, I usually keep my parameters in the middle when I do normal harshness reducing processing. And I mean, yeah, so 3 use cases for example, podcast would be the sibilance, so de-essing, and harshness just from mic placement or any other like suboptimal
Well,
placement.
maybe, yeah, I mean, like drum. Sometimes drums get overtones. Live drums
Yeah,
get ringing of ringing of a snare or a tom. I'm sure that that would be very effective for that too.
yeah,
Uh,
sure. It should find that ringing frequency as well. Yeah.
all right, yeah, because we used to do it by by hand.
Mm, yeah.
We used to find it by over EQing
Mm,
to get a
yeah.
really loud ring, and then you say, okay, that's where the ring is, and then you cut it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You notch it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's great. It would save a lot of time.
Yeah, but
Uh,
that's for example only one ringing frequency that you have
right.
to deal with there. So it's still possible to do that with an EQ, and some people would still probably do it. So Soothe, I guess, is more meant for when you have moving frequencies, when the
Ah,
range is moving, when someone is singing lower and then goes high, and you don't want to lose, because where the harsh frequencies are when the singer is singing lower are in a certain area, and when they go higher, you want it to sound natural in that area where that harshness was. So you don't want it to react there anymore. So you just want it to cut those 5 6 different harsh frequencies while
I
they
see.
exist, and not while they aren't there. So it's mainly, so it can be actually really flexible. But of course, you can use it to just zone in on one frequency and
Hmm.
notch it out with its intelligent kind of detection.
Hmm.
whenever you need it. And there are presets for that as well, so you can easily
Great.
zone in on one frequency.
Excellent. And I have posted two tutorials, two Soothe tutorials, one about using it for de-essing,
Mm,
and another one in more in general walkthrough of Soothe. And so and that brings us to your latest software, Spiff. And you say that's a different developer. Well, same company, but a different
yeah,
programmer.
yeah. Tommy is the guy behind that, and it was an idea that he had, especially when he heard about Soothe and when he got to try Soothe and just checked out the algorithm behind it, because the detection is quite similar in how it analyzes the incoming signal
Mm-hmm.
in these kinds of packages. And then he's thought about, why not apply this same approach to transients? So yeah, in a sense, fast dynamic changes, sudden dynamic changes in a sense. And why can't we then go ahead and boost those or cut them,
Mm-hmm.
or attenuate those transients? And that's what it's mainly used for. So the first thing that comes to mind for most people is boosting drum transients. I mean, that's probably the most used case for it. But I would say Spiff, compared to other transient processors, is really detailed and fast. So it works in the same way as Soothe, where you just tell with the EQ, with the sidechain EQ, as it actually more works as, you tell it where to work in which frequency area. So you can tell it to work between 1,000 hertz and 5,000 hertz, and then go ahead and attenuate transient there, or then boost transients there, depending on what you want to do.
I see. So
So
it boosts transients, but it can be very specific to the EQ, the frequency of the transient as well,
yes,
right? As
yeah,
opposed to just a regular transient boost with a regular plugin that does
exactly. And if you have it reacting to the whole frequency range,
right.
it's important to remember that if there is an area where the transient doesn't exist, it's not gonna boost anything there. It's not gonna attenuate or boost anything there, because the transient doesn't live there. I mean, in that area. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have a kick drum where the transient is at 80 hertz through 50 hertz, and then up there by like 3K and 5K, but it doesn't really have anything in a transient way in 500, then it's not going to boost the volume in 500 hertz for the transient,
Hmm.
which I think a lot of some transient processors do that. And that means you get, when you increase the transient of a kick drum, you get a more boxy sound, and you don't really want that. You want the good stuff. You want where the transient
Right.
actually lives in the sound.
Sounds great.
So
Yeah.
by boosting the transient with Spiff, you actually get more of whatever is the transient content if you have a wide. But then you can also just focus on the top end if you only want to increase the transient for the top end or the low end. And another use I would have for it is, or how I use it mostly, is to remove mouth clicks and mouth noises that come from overcompressed vocals,
Mm-hmm.
especially nowadays when singers are singing so close to the mic, and like really with the lips attached to the mic. You get so much, because as soon as they open their mouth and you have 5 compressors on it, or I don't know, like pop producers, how many they use nowadays, but there are many. And as soon as they open their mouth, you're going to hear some kind of smack or click or noise. And those are actually really small uh, volume dynamic changes that are happening. But Spiff is able to detect those and attenuate them. And we're talking about like sudden few millisecond attenuations of about 17 decibels if you want.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then for across maybe a phrase of 10 seconds, it goes through it and attenuates maybe 50, 60 clicks during that time.
How about a pop from a mic, like a low end, the B's or the P's?
Yeah, I do. I've definitely I've targeted those as well, and targeted like lower lower frequency stuff as well, as well as mic boom when someone like hits the mic stand, stuff like that.
Oh,
Uh,
good. Yeah.
yeah, so it works well for that. Of course, you're not gonna completely remove the sound, but you might not notice it anymore after you've done it, especially in the mix if you have something else on top of it or something like that.
Hmm.
So it's not a removing tool, but just a very good attenuating tool, which makes it, of course, more transparent. You don't hear the process when you use it. It's really smooth. And so, yeah, for example, if you use the mouth clicks reducer or remove mouth clicks is what the preset is called, you can actually go ahead and then boost the high frequencies on that vocal even more after that.
Right.
Similar as you do with Soothe. I mean, you tame the tame the harsh resonances so that you can boost the high frequencies even more, in a
Hmm.
sense.
Right.
So
Right.
it allows you to, yeah, get, I guess, more expensive sound from cheaper equipment, in a sense.
Or work on a few problems even with good equipment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they
Uh,
do occur everywhere. So
hmm. Great. Well, um, I'm excited to get working with it. Probably sometime next week, I'm going to get working on it. I have some drums and I want to do some work with it.
mm,
So that should be a lot of fun. Well,
nice.
it's been great. It's been great talking to you, and I want to wish you guys all the luck in the world.
Thank you.
Making some great products, and like I said, so far the feedback has been very positive for Soothe, and now Soothe 2 is even more exciting. So let's keep in touch and let me know we have any new products to check out. And like I said, I'm going to start putting some stuff, some demonstrations of the software, Soothe and Spiff myself. But basically, I'm learning as we go. This is, this whole um, online Zoom thing is, again, the mother of necessity. The
Yeah,
mother of, but nevertheless, it's great to be able to talk to people all around the world, and some great products being done all over the world. We have friends in Italy, friends in Sweden, friends in Finland, England, all over the world that are coming up with some great audio products. So thank you again for your
thank
time,
you for having me.
and stay safe and healthy. And we'll keep in touch, and give my best to Ollie.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Maybe next time we'll have him on too.
Yeah, I can definitely ask him.
Yeah, yeah, we'd love to have him too. All right, take care. I'll see you. I'll
Yeah.
see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.